Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got another packed episode this week. We're going to try to cover as many stories as we can and likely very much fail. How are you guys?
Man, it is a packed week. I dressed up special occasion today just for, shareholder meetings and blah, blah,
That's
blah.
a lie. If you listen to the tech podcast, that is a blatant lie. But yeah.
And you gave a teaser. You said there's something to look forward to, and this sounds story-based, not news-based, so
Yes.
maybe we should start with that.
Yeah.
Let's knock it out because there is a lot of news that I kind of want us to kind of really get into. But this is
Randy
something.
News.
The RNN. The Randy News Network.
Right.
Welcome back, guys. So listen.
Why are you and your wife fighting?
We're not, okay. That was a bit of a clickbait, not fighting. We were having a marital truth session about just kind of like
Truth social?
Don't spit, swallow.
It's going all over the Model 3.
There we go.
Swallow.
Hey, don't you spit, swallow. All right, so
Okay.
now my vehicle is still registered as a. You know what? I'm not going to make you laugh. I promise. My vehicle is still currently registered and licensed in California. I have a driver's license that's Californian, and my plates are California.
Right.
When I
Me
first,
too.
when I would really hope so. It would be really weird if it wasn't.
Yes.
When I first moved out here, I was a month away from my vehicle renewal for the registration. So I just renewed it, and mail forwarding brought me my plates anyway. So it was, or not plates, it brought me my registration. So there was no issues about with the renewal. This year is a little bit different. And I've been procrastinating for the sake of trying to figure out what was the right approach and saving money. And this is where me and my wife have this conversation, because it's at the end of the day, it's about, what's it going to cost us. Registering my Model 3 in Virginia has pros and cons. And for a long time, I was like, I think the cons outweigh the pros. Virginia was, or is, I don't know if it was implemented, but Virginia was the first state to implement this mileage tax on EVs. So that way the state can get its funding for the roads, since I'm not paying for gas and I don't get the gas tax.
Right.
Virginia was the first one, and I know, Mike, I know. And I promise you it is going to have a ripple effect. If you guys are lucky, it will make it to the West Coast last, but I don't know.
Well, they already have a higher registration fee. It's not based on mileage, but it's still high.
So, now enter this discussion, and I haven't brought my new findings to Brittany just yet, because I had to get like specific numbers to present something here. If I kept my vehicle registered in California, then I don't pay a personal property tax, because in the state of Virginia, your vehicle is part of personal property, and there's an additional tax that's on it that you that gets reported from the DMV. So it's not enough that you just pay for your house, which I know I have to pay property tax on this. But personal property tax is a thing for your vehicles, your boats, your motorcycles, your RVs, and anything that's that requires a license. So now I looked up the numbers here. There is a guaranteed cap of EVs, and I know there's different numbers for hybrids, gas, and EVs about what the max would be paid to the state annually. And then for and the EV is the cheapest one, I would pay no more than $116 and some change for having my vehicle registered here. And that's based off of driving a penny a mile, and they calculated it as 11,000 miles is the average that someone would drive in a year. if I register here, if I opt in to do per mile, which is a new option that Virginia just rolled out, then if I drive less than 11,000 miles a year, I would save money, and because it would be calculated 1 penny per mile. Guys, this is my work. I'm home, so I don't do 10,000 miles even a year. So there was a moment that kind of clicked. So then I next went on to the DMVs of all states that were like, okay, what is the cost of having an EV? And California, by far, is one of the higher ones. It's not the highest, but it is higher. And I paid.
Makes sense.
I think I paid $600 each year. It has dropped since. So I think it's because I don't know if it's the year of the car, but I think this last one I paid $575 if I remember correctly. It was definitely over 500. Okay. Under 6, over 5. First time I got it though in 2019, I paid 625 or something, some high amount, and that's how California gets their money. They added the cost to that, and there's a roster that shows how each state does it differently, and Virginia's only charges like an additional $15 or $25, something stupid small. It was really small amount of cost to it. They get their money based off the mileage. If I'm going to drive a lot more, then I would just opt in for the set rate of $116 additional that I would pay as an EV owner, and gas drivers have to pay more than that. It's like closer to 130 or 120. So there's more that's added to theirs. But if you do the mile per penny approach, then you would save money that way. So now I'm formulating my presentation, to the missus here about how I would go about this, because she's adamant that she does not want to register the vehicles in Virginia because she doesn't want to pay all them taxes. I'm adamant about we might pay more tax. We might be paying different taxes, but we're actually saving money, and it's simplistic that way. Her thing is we're exempt from a lot of it because we're on military orders. But my counter is you're exempt from it because you're on orders. If I started working as a state employee here, I have to pay them taxes regardless. So next March on my birthday, I hit the 5-year mark on my driver's license. I'm not going to be able to renew because I have to get a real ID, which involves me going back to the state to go in person. And even though I can use my property as my mailing address, I'm conflicted on the sense that it's like I'm not really living here. I don't really want to vote in California anymore. Like, it doesn't pertain to me like that. I'm more interested in maybe like local elections here in Virginia, especially because it's a battleground state. So I feel like ooh, I actually have more weight here because, albeit with politics or whatever, I wonder what side the state of California is going to go. Always blue. I'm like, all right, well then I care more about the local elections, right? So, I felt more.
It's really easy. They tell you how to vote every day. Every commercial is the same. Vote this on this. Vote this on this. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Awesome. Sweet.
They have all the answers.
They're very pushy about registering for voting out here because it's a battleground state. It was last year. The Democratic governor lost to the incumbent, who was now it's a Republican state, but I think it's because it's so close to DC. It's touching all that there's a lot of influence. So I'm like, ooh, am I going to be an American and actually throw my hat in the ring and let's play? So, I got other alternatives to it, but back to the taxes on these things. I started doing some research on what is the real cost of owning an EV based off of location of where you would live and what you would pay on those taxes. And I did a stream about, cost of living a while ago about, what would it cost to live here. And numbers are misleading because you actually end up paying roughly about the same price regardless of where you live. It's just how they get their money and how they collect their money differently. Drew had made a comment in the tech podcast about sales tax. And sales tax is lower here in Virginia, but I have an additional road tax I have to pay that I know is not on California turf if I kept my EV registered another year. So, I'm pretty adamant I want to register to Virginia next year. I'm going to get a Virginia driver's license because I just don't want to go through the headache of going to California to do the real ID, session at the DMV for a day.
Sure.
It's a fun time.
I want to pass the question to you guys before I, bring my findings to my pro-California wife. Am I missing an element here that I haven't considered? Because I've told you basically that I've researched over the last 2 days here. Is there something I haven't weighed in or considered? Is there something I'm missing? Whether I'm talking about the Model 3 or just being a California resident.
I thought I remember hearing at one point there was like this really high registration fee in Virginia, but I don't know if I'm misremembering that because I'm not well researched on it. But yeah, ultimately I would do whatever's cheaper. That's what I would be falling towards. So if you knew with certainty that with your lower mileage that would result in paying less for registration, then yeah. But it sounds like, I assume your wife would be too. So if she's disagreeing, it's probably because she's convinced it won't be cheaper.
Yeah.
So
I think her approach will be that of what saves us money.
Yeah.
The biggest friction that her and I have had about the registration was that she was adamant there are higher taxes in Virginia that you have to pay for this or for that or for this or for that. And I went to the official .gov to read some legislation even about what was passed into law, per da 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 da, and evidently, even if your car is not registered in Virginia, if it comes up that you live here and you haven't reported that your car is in use, if it's parked in a driveway, it counts. And that's the verbiage they use. Like, if it's parked on a driveway, the taxes are levied on this that you have to pay, blah, 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 and you have to report that. And if you don't, then you get hit an additional 25% of the fine. So you're going to pay it and then some. So,
in the tech podcast, I think you're talking about your lawn and how you need to water it. I think you should just park your Model 3 on the lawn at this point so you can avoid these taxes.
It's not in the driveway.
And they can't find it because it's green. Take that, suckers.
Yeah, it blends
there
in.
You go.
I think we found the solution here.
Yeah.
No, ask yourself this. I know it's probably less common there than California, but do you see Teslas out in Virginia?
Yeah.
Would you... do you see that many California plates?
No.
Then there's probably a reason. If a bunch of people were like, oh, it's way cheaper to keep it registered in California, then they'd probably be doing it. And, all Teslas come from California, ultimately. That's what, at least the ones in North America. At least the North America
I do see
ones.
Cali plates. We're given the area because it's a military area. You got people who PCS out here from all over. I see.
They're all,
yeah, but now if we're
that's
talking about
the biggest
EVs,
state by population. So
yeah, I purposely look at the plates of EVs, and most EVs are Teslas. I will say though, EV podcast, EV news, I have seen so many Ioniqs and EV6s now where I'm like, this is so cool. I'm really excited to see that and they're all on base. So people who got the money, I guess, to pay those
but they don't
dealership
have Cali
fees.
plates?
But no, they bought them here in Virginia because they got Virginia plates.
Oh, okay.
So I'm seeing a lot of EVs, and I think every EV, with the exception of 2 or 3, all have Virginia plates. So it was something I was making note of, but I didn't realize I was making note of it until this very moment. So maybe there is a reason. I think you're right.
Yeah. I would say if there was definitive proof she had that leaving it registered in California would be cheaper. I don't know if she has that proof because she can't speak for herself on the show. But unless she finds that, I would say, like you mentioned, reading on the government website, if it's parked in the driveway, they're going to tax it anyway. It's like the government's going to get their money, and you guys now own property in that state. So there's no working your way out, talking your way out of, oh, we're just here for a little while. It's like, no, yeah, you're here. You register there. It'll probably make the most amount of sense, instead of paying a bunch of tax to California, even though you're only there a couple weeks out of the year.
To be clear to the
So-
listeners, this is not me avoiding or anything like evading taxes. I'm not doing that. It's because I am technically a California resident and we are on orders, so everything is still funneled through like the California scope of things. I had this all last year and most of this year. I had a sense of obligation to still kind of like represent California, meaning when we got our ballots in the mail, I still want to vote as a Californian about California issues because that's my home. I'm a San Diegan. Like, I am what I am. But then lately I'm just like, I'm not going to be there for a few years minimum, and I can always just re-register if and when the time when I go back home. Like, at that point, it's not like this is how it has to be. I'm not signing a 4-year contract like the military. I'm like, this is just my circumstances as it stands today. And
Sure.
I care more about, like, call me maybe old-fashioned or something, but in regards to things on the ballot that might affect EVs, I care about having a say on that while I'm in the state residing there for at least another 2 years. That's important to me. So,
Sure.
and if that means I have to change my registration and my residency, then, I mean, it would happen inevitably if I was to go take a full-time job somewhere. I'm not working as a California. Even if I was doing telework again, I have to register full-time as, like, well, I'm in Virginia, so I have to pay Virginia taxes anyway. I think for Brittany, we have a gas vehicle that's still still Californian, and she's not going to be exempt from a lot of these, and she drives a lot. So, but there's a cap. The thing that I was reading on the site is that there is a cap. It's not you're going to pay $1 a mile or whatever for gas vehicles up until every year. It's just there is a cap. It's their way of ensuring that this is our road tax here. And to be fair, I mean, the roads are pretty good out here, at least where I'm at. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. They don't got as many lanes, but we don't got as many population. I'm like, I know. So I'm like, all right. I see the tax dollar going to work, and I'm like, I'm a U.S. citizen who pays taxes for commodities and open public transportation roads and stuff like that. All right, fine. It is going to work. I see them working on the roads literally as we speak. So I'm like, okay,
Sure. Well,
then all right. Let me pitch in my fair share. Then that's how I see it. But
Sure.
at the end of the day, I'm also American, so if I could save money, shoot, I'll save money.
right. Yeah.
Like,
So
if
I guess
it's cheaper to keep it in California, like, come on now. What's up, Mike?
I guess my opinion is if it comes down to the numbers, that makes more sense to do all the registration stuff in Virginia for just the Tesla, because the Tesla is going to put in a big splash in the pond with how the costs break down to own that vehicle. Then it makes sense to register it there. The same with the Yaris and all that. You kind of have to bundle that in, and maybe that's when you create a bigger spreadsheet, do a little bit more digging for both the gas vehicle and the electric vehicle, break down the cost for if you registered it in Virginia, and then compare it to if you registered it in California, either or. Here's what I would do, and a little bit of a transition as well. I would move to Germany. No, first sell the 3. Get rid of that thing. Get rid of that thing. It's disgusting. Move to Germany. Immediately reserve a Quicksilver Model Y.
Wrong.
And
Cherry.
Enjoy that
Dark
thing.
cherry. How dare you? Wrong.
Nope.
Wrong.
Quicksilver. Quicksilver's the way to
Dark
go.
cherry.
You
Quicksilver.
didn't see that coming?
I would call mine Pietro if I had that Quicksilver. But yes,
Beautiful
Yeah.
colors.
So I guess the news
Amazing.
is that Tesla has finally launched these 2 colors that they teased back at the Giga Berlin event. I think at some point someone leaked that there's actually 3 colors, and there's a blue that they're working on, and there's a blue that someone saw at Giga Berlin. But I'm pretty sure from this news, they're only launching 2 colors. The red, which used to be called Crimson Red, that we saw in Elon's vehicle at SpaceX, and then some new Mercury Silver. But now they've changed those names officially to Quicksilver and Midnight Cherry, costing 3,000 euros or 3,200 euros for the Midnight Cherry Red. In which, if you are listening to us from Europe / Berlin / that area, if you've already ordered a Model Y in Midnight Silver Metallic or the red color, totally red metallic or whatever, red multi-coat, I think, you get a free upgrade to these colors, so you don't have to pay extra.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of people
I didn't hear
online
that.
who are saying that they are getting free upgrades.
That's amazing.
If you went for Midnight Silver Metallic or the multi-coat red. So
I'd be so happy.
congrats to y'all, because that is a nice, definite or beautiful upgrade on this giant monitor that I've got to my left or right, or however you see me on the podcast. I've got the Quicksilver plastered right now on it, and it is astounding. I love it. The Midnight Cherry's nice. I like how it kind of terminates away from red to black in some lights, but I'm a sucker for the silver. And
Yeah. It's just so it contrasts so well in all environments.
The silver is a very
got-
safe one.
We never got the old silver on the Model Y, so this feels like so clean, but I do also love the Midnight Cherry. I think they're both very good. I tend to be more of a neutral color guy, just because I feel like it complements more, but if you could only choose between the old red and the new red, I definitely take the new red, that's for sure.
It's so
Beautiful.
you know what this red reminds me of, and I have to pull it up and do it side by side, but I'm not going to. The Lucid Red that had the what was the black part? What are they calling it? Like it's not camouflage. Stealth, yeah. That Lucid Red, I really liked it, that red, and I really like this red. It's so deep red, deep rich, like crimson. I do like neutral colors.
they call it Zenith Red.
Zenith.
All right.
Zenith.
Zenith. I like
Okay, Rollinson. Okay.
neutral colors are safe to go in the environment, but like I like the idea of like I want my Tesla to stand out. That's why I did a different textured wrap in it.
That's true.
I want you to look at me. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's call it what it is. Like this is not some Nissan Leaf or this is a Tesla. This is the standard.
Midnight Cherry Nissan Leaf.
They make some interesting colors for the Kia EV6. Like I saw, I think a yellow that almost looked Rivian yellow the other day. So
And they have some matte options too, which is cool.
yeah,
Ooh, you know how I am about my matte.
it's nice to finally get options, or at least for Berlin, it's not really. They got rid of options but added options, so they're net zero on options. But at least we've got new colors in which we haven't gotten, I think, since like Obsidian Black. Back in the day,
Obsidian,
which got taken away, I think, in 2018 or 20. Yeah, I think 2018 is
What was Obsidian Black on? Was that the SNX?
The Model 3 and the SNX.
What?
Really? I didn't know.
Are you
there was
sure?
a different kind of black.
There's an Obsidian Black. It was on the 3 for a while. Yeah, you had the option of 2 blacks, the 2 silvers, and the blue
I'm learning
and
today.
the white. I only I only know this because I looked it up this morning and looked. There's this one site. I think I could probably forward it to you guys.
Oh wow!
But they had a nice breakdown of all the different colors per year. So,
What's the difference between Obsidian Black and
That's
Obsidian Black was a little bit.
Looked it up.
You can see the flakes a little bit more.
I looked it up because I do see it on the configurator. I see an old configurator with the Obsidian versus black. What's the other black called? Multi-coat?
That's a great question. I forget the specific name
Black
of it.
metallic. But I'm
metallic,
seeing
probably,
pictures of the people saying this is the Obsidian Black, and it looks insanely similar. So I kind of see why they got rid of it. I can barely tell the difference.
Yeah. So it's been
It's
a while.
very subtle.
That
been a
green
while since
metallic
we've got
though, on the Model S.
I see that sometimes driving around the Bay. There's one or two
Yeah.
people that daily drive those. And I'm like, ooh.
There was someone
Wish
in
I
San
had
Diego
that.
that had it, and I would see it like around the mall or at the service center, and I was like, man, that is such a cool looking color. But that Model S, it looked old. It was an old Model S.
Very green vehicle.
Yeah.
But I know I can speak for myself in saying if I was ordering a Tesla again, I would definitely opt for Quicksilver. But do you guys feel if you were, for whatever reason, heaven forbid, totaled vehicle or something, if you were ordering again, would you, and if you were in a region where they offered it, let's say Giga Texas starts offering these colors, would you opt for, would you spend the extra $3,000 on Midnight Cherry, Randy, and would you spend the $3,000 on Quicksilver, Mike?
Ooh, well,
Yep.
I think
like,
I
yep,
would for the reason that I wouldn't get FSD, so that money's got to go somewhere.
I
There's
see.
the excuse.
That's FSD money.
That's FSD
Right.
money. That's I would okay. As it stands today, yeah, I would do the cherry red. But
Okay.
if there is this blue hue out there, I might actually lean in on the blue. That's a nice looking
I
blue.
need to see it, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to look at it first. But
What
yeah.
car did we talk about maybe like a couple months now? There's like a sapphire blue. Someone had a sapphire
Lucid.
blue. Lucid.
Lucid has the sapphire blue.
I like
with the
Lucid's.
Air
I
sapphire.
like Lucid's colors. I'm learning something about myself. I'm about Lucid's colors.
I
Yeah.
think they
Premium
fixed
colors.
it along the way. I never liked the silver trim that basically all Lucids have until
Right.
they rolled out the stealth option, and I was like, see, that looks so much better. Just do that every time.
Yeah.
And then they revealed the sapphire, and I was like, this is the best looking Lucid. And yeah, but it's just not out yet, so we gotta wait patiently on that
Yeah.
one. But I'm
yeah,
just very
I would
proud.
pay the $3,000
just,
though.
Okay. So we're all in agreement that we would pay for this non-existent option
Yes.
that we can't have.
Right.
Plus, they probably wouldn't, even if that color was there, I probably couldn't get it on my Model 3 because it would be like a Model Y only type thing. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the biggest annoyance is people asked, hey, is this coming to Fremont? And I believe Elon responded saying, nope. It only can be achieved with Giga Berlin Paint Shop, which can do like 13 layers, which is great because that means this paint's going to last a long time. And that was the biggest complaint with a lot of Teslas is the paint wasn't mixed well or just not good quality on it. Where with Berlin, whole lot better, as you can tell.
I can't find the Nope tweet.
It's
I
out
did
there.
see him say only Giga Berlin can make these colors, but someone asked, can we get at least another color option in the USA? And he said yes, but he didn't say which.
So I think that opens up the idea that that you brought up a little bit earlier is that Giga Texas may have that same capability that Berlin has in being able to
I would think so.
make a 13 layer paint that is consistent and they can make whatever paint color that they want confidently without any issue. And so I think Giga Texas is the key for those different colored Model Ys, which is great. But maybe that's the beauty of Giga Texas, right? Because they only have to focus on one vehicle that has paint. The other one doesn't require paint at all because it's a giant door wedge that's metallic, so for stainless steel. So
Yeah, nothing to worry about there.
nothing to worry about there. So they can splurge a little bit on the paint shop there. So if anything, maybe that blue is coming and it's coming to America, and that's maybe what replaces the
American
blue.
blue.
Yeah, we get. Well, maybe it's not American blue. It's freedom blue. How about that?
Oh.
Something close to that, or
I
Star
see.
Spangled Blue. I don't know.
Texas blue.
Ooh, Lone Star Blue. There we go. Cirrus Blue.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Do you think, are you guys in favor or against the concept of certain factories offering exclusive color options?
Against.
For.
For
I'm for it.
This is Prop 40 on your ballots, everyone.
Oh, thank you.
Should Should Tesla be forced to offer Quicksilver at Giga Texas?
No, I don't think so. I think it's nice that there's a diversity of colors in different regions. Just means that each country or continent has their own special spin on some similar looking vehicle. Where you go to Europe, oh look, there's a cherry red Model Y. You go to America, there's a freedom blue Model Y. You go to China, look, it's an LFP vehicle.
It's iron based. I thought you were gonna say like, I'm in
Communist red.
Texas. There's an American blue. Oh, I'm in Europe. There's a midnight cherry. Oh, I'm in China. I'm under arrest. You know, it's like, there's what's it called?
And they say I'm
green.
the controversial one.
Oh, it's what's it called?
CCP yellow.
I think you're missing another C, but yeah.
Oh,
Ew.
what is it?
iPad yellow.
Didn't they have like a first party wrapping service in China?
I think they've got that going on, so maybe that's the answer, is that, oh, you can wrap it wherever you want or whatever you want. But I think it's great that each factory has their own special color, or each continent has their own special color, because it's finally Tesla getting a bit more creative with their lineup. And I don't think necessarily the whole world has to conform to this amount of colors in this, I guess, all over the place. That there's a nice little give and take of where you live. Oh, you live in Europe? Here's your options for the Model Y or the Model 3 or whatever. You come to America, here's your options. Like, I don't think it's more incentive on living in those locations. Like, oh, I'm going to move to Germany just to get this car, in which I made the joke earlier. I do, but I'm not going to. But
Time to move.
I don't know. It just shows that, or it means that Tesla can show off a bunch of different colors in a bunch of different regions, and you don't have to like manage it all under one roof. So it's not like, oh crap, because Berlin makes Quicksilver, that America has to make Quicksilver, and we're having troubles in America making Quicksilver, but we can make this like Freedom Blue, but they're not making in Berlin, so we can't make it here or whatever. Like, I don't know. I think it's better that they can play their strengths on different colors in different regions.
I like the idea of knowing where the car came from based on the color. That's kind of cool. It could be like, that's definitely a Berlin made. You know it's not imported. Sure. And if you don't get the two new colors, you're like, maybe it was made in Berlin. Maybe you got to look at the VIN, I guess, and figure out which factory it came from. But
Sure.
People will abuse that. They'll wrap. I'm sure there will be a very big surge in midnight cherry wrap now. Everyone's gonna start.
Good. Stop taking my
Teslas.
color. Leave my color alone.
Yeah. As long as you're not picking Randy's color.
I guess,
but
Randy, why are you against it? Are you just butthurt that we're not getting these two colors in America?
Well, I'm butthurt all the
As of
time.
right
That's
now.
a whole different reason. I don't like. I
So
don't.
many jokes.
I don't like the. This is Tesla's version of a software lock. You show that you have it, and paint is paint, man. Like, if we're gonna talk about quality control, which people likes to talk about, oh, but QC's like panel gap that this and blemishes that. Like, paint is paint, and they had more color options in the U.S. Paint is paint, and paint will crack. Is that what you're looking for? And paint will
Fremont,
fade.
yeah.
Yeah. I just like the idea of having options for a vehicle. This is a lot of money that people are putting towards, and having the same 4 or 5 colors is, it feels very Model T. You can have whatever color you want as long as it's black, and that that helps on the streamlining of things, but at the same time, how many more factories is it going to take? Like, the stuff's already back ordered. I mean, at this point, like, you're taking away.
Oh yeah, it's very backordered.
And you've taken away a lot of features lately, and or accessories or this and that. Like, throw in some paint, whatever. I mean, charge what you're going to charge, but throw in some paint. Make it worth it. Make it feel like, I don't want to look and be like, oh yeah, that's from Berlin. I want to look at it and be like, yeah, that's a 2022 model. I like that idea.
I see.
Do what
I just
iPhones do.
imagine-
Exclusive colors. Yeah, that's a 20-something
I
model.
imagine Henry Ford saying, "You can have any color you want as long as it's midnight cherry." We gotta simplify it.
Yeah.
Every vehicle is midnight cherry now.
I would scrap the old red and replace it with this new deep red. I would scrap. Well, they did
That's
have
what
silver.
they did in Berlin.
Model
Yeah.
3 had silver, and then they took it away. Put the silver back.
They did, yeah.
Um,
Although I will say, Quicksilver looks way better than the old silver did.
yeah,
Oh yeah, definitely
yeah,
has a
yeah,
better
It's like
sheen.
miles ahead.
that's what I'm saying. It's 22ified. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't want it based off of region of the car. I would want it based off of the year that you bought the car. Especially if we're not going through aesthetic changes that much. You have to really look like that doesn't have any radar sensors, so that has to be like that. Those are for people who know what to look for. No, look at the car from a distance and be like, oh yeah, he's got the 2023 model. That is a good looking car. Like, that's effectively what other cars have done in the past with that gunmetal, like almost like pearl like texture. I've seen the Civic, the Subaru, and Toyota did it on their Tacoma. They all have this like really muted gunmetal polish on there, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. But you know that, like, oh, that's something that was made in 2019, 2020, because I remember that's when I saw it. I was like, okay, so I can get an idea of what this model looks like if we're not going for aesthetic updates. If we're doing aesthetic updates like design altogether, then I don't really care. You can look at like, oh yeah, you know that's the Model S
The
of
plaid.
20
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. So that's why I don't like it. I think if we're talking about marketing, it's a cooler marketing approach to be like every car. Okay, we gypped you on the coming with the adapter in the car, or we gypped you on no longer referral programs allegedly maybe coming back. So we're taking all these things away, but you get this cool color for kickback of $3,000, whatever. What's 3,000? So yeah.
Okay.
Well done, Tesla. I have a feeling it's a factory line limitation. I don't think it's a choice to not bring it to Fremont, though.
I think Fremont's just doing too much stuff right now with supporting semi and all that, and
yeah,
producing
like if they
all of the S's and
if they
X's
tried to bring it to Fremont, it wouldn't look the same, or it wouldn't work, or something.
it won't have the
but-
best quality. I think Texas is going to be that key for customability, at least for the Model Y.
Yes.
But
So hopefully Texas gets it. That would be nice.
yeah, I think only when Texas finally starts picking up the slack of Model Ys for Fremont, that's maybe when we get to see some Model Y tooling or retooling in a way. And then maybe the paint shop gets a little bit of a spruce up, but then that means the S and X might have to get shut down for that time, and also the 3. So Fremont's kind of it's kind of been held up as on this pedestal as the golden boy, in which it is, but with that comes the burden of the world on its shoulders, where if it shuts down, Tesla's losing a whole lot of money while it tries to scramble and try to retool everything, fix the paint shop and everything. Where places like Berlin, which are new spots, they've been able to kind of do a system on a chip type of structure with it.
Right.
And without that much, not necessarily demand, there is a whole bunch of demand there, but like it's not having to fulfill active customers. It's got the time to actually make a 13-layer paint shop work fantastically, where Fremont doesn't.
Well, what's kind of interesting that might be the reason only Giga Berlin is doing this is when they started ramping, they were only building like black and white Model Ys during the ramp. Whereas Texas started out making pretty much all kinds of colors. They were from day one building black, white, red, blue, midnight, silver. They were covering basically all the color options you could see in the logistics lot. They were making pretty much every type of Model Y with the different tires and stuff. Whereas Berlin, when it first started, it was like just performance for a couple months and just black, and then maybe white, and then let's do long range. And now they're expanding and just replacing. So I guess Giga Berlin has never made the regular red Model Y. They've never made the regular midnight silver. They're expanding into the new color regions now. So if Texas were to expand, they would have to, I don't know, change from the standard red and the standard midnight, or they could just have more options. Maybe
Well,
that's
they've got
not
the
as big a
space.
deal.
They definitely have a lot more capability too because of the space that they have versus
Yeah.
Fremont. Fremont's tapped out in space. They're trying
No, yeah, Fremont can't do anything.
I mean, Fremont can do a lot of stuff, but they've tried everything under the sun to try and make more space with tents and everything else, and even restructuring how things go from one building to another. And they're kind of at the top of their efficiency with that factory's design. So, I don't know. Maybe there is that day, Randy, that we can finally get different colored Model 3s again. Like the silver and the obsidian black may come back. But I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Yeah, not soon, because Texas ain't building Model 3s anytime
Yeah, I
that we
accept that.
know of in the near future.
I accept that
But-
for what it is.
It's probably faster to just get find a wrapping service that can do Quicksilver.
Yeah, I mean,
And
someone's
bring
done something close to it here in the Bay. I think I took a picture
Yeah,
or
yeah.
I've talked about on Twitter with a matte silver Model Y that roams around. So,
That's
it's
awesome.
already happening.
I have a sighting
Yeah.
update. I saw somebody in my local grocery store parking lot have a Model 3, and it was custom painted.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm.
you know, opinions aside, there's a preference for everybody, but this thing was a bright baby blue.
Ooh.
Like iPhone 13 Pro?
They're kind of like that Revel taxi service.
No, think
Nicola Blue?
I don't know what it was. I can't compare it to anything. No, think of the
Here, I got
13.
something.
What phone do we have? 14. Think of the iPhone 14. Yeah, imagine that, but bright and blue. It's like the 14, the blue 14.
Check the group chat.
Yeah, like that. But okay, get this, but brighter, and all the chrome delete that's there, from the handles to the frame to the top, even the rims, pink.
Oh,
Oh, gross.
so it's a
disgusting.
Lollipop 3. Or a Cotton Candy 3.
Listen,
Ugh.
all I'm saying is that
You're
was
like-
not a wrap. That was painted, and I was like, oh, you committed. That's someone who committed to it.
You got to report to the DMV about that.
Yeah. I
Hey,
saw
you need
something
to charge
close
them
to that.
over the $116 a year. My eyes, I'm offended. There has to be some type of HOA regulation against this. I'm offended.
Right.
COA.
I'm filing damages against you just because of this
COA.
car. I saw
Yeah,
something kind of like that, except a little bit less abusive to the eyes, where it was a blue a blue Subaru WRX, but also had like pink rims. And I'm like, oh jeez, why?
Someday we're going to see a pink Cybertruck with eyelashes on the
Oh, stop it.
headlights.
No.
I saw someone tweet a photo of like a really bad rap or something, and they said, "I saw this today, unfortunately."
I don't know if you guys caught it, since we're talking about some aesthetic changes to vehicles, but Rivian again changed their white interior options.
And black.
And black. They've added, I guess, 2 more options, which is better than just replacing 2 options like Tesla's done, except Tesla focused on the exterior, Rivian focused on the interior. Now you can have a leather front dash instead of a wood front dash. So I think
Vegan
that
leather, but
a
yes.
vegan leather, but yeah, I think that's a really good trade-off because people want kind of a lighter headliner. Instead, they were kind of stuck
Right.
with a black headliner. So Rivian compromised and like, well, what if we put leather there? Can we do that? I guess so. And so they did it, and I think it looks really
It
good.
looks
Do that
great,
because
in
we're
my
gonna do
opinion.
that.
Yeah, I think it was a great option or a great idea.
And I thought it was cheaper, but I haven't messed with the configurator. I'm not sure if it actually lowers the price.
I think you have to add on a bit because you're now adding leather where there would be wood. But
I'm not sure which is cheaper though, because when in the old days, back when they had the adventure package, if you selected adventure, it would change from wood to like a. I don't know if it was vegan leather, but it looked like that. It looked like a matte finish. It looked like not as wooden, I guess, because they have to use like really really treated wood for the interior. It's not like just basic wood you slap in there. But I would take the from the videos I've seen of people who took delivery of Ocean Coast, I would definitely take the Ocean Coast with the vegan leather instead of the dark wood is fine, but I think it looks cleaner to have. It's less busyness, you know. That's why I kind of like the white interior on my cars because it's just a very simple, flat, opposed to the grain of that like
Sure.
big wood panel stretching across the side. I like the flat look of it.
So looking at their configurator, if you get Black Mountain or Ocean Coast basic, or actually, sorry, Black Mountain comes included. Ocean Coast no
Right.
longer has the black wood. It's now that white vegan leather, and it's $2,000 more dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Or interesting. So there's actually two base colors. My bad. Let me rephrase this. If you get a
Weird.
basic interior Rivian R1T or R1S, you either can get Black Mountain with the leather or Black Mountain plus the dark ash wood headliner included. So you can either choose between wood or no wood, or you could pay $2,000.
And it's no price difference.
Yeah, no price difference. Base price.
Okay.
If you pay $2,000 more dollars, you can get the Ocean Coast with or without the leather. So I guess it's a trade-off of whether you want the wood or not. But that wood is a dark ash wood, or you get the white headliner with the regular Ocean Coast for $2,000. And then for $2,000 as well, you can get the Forest Edge with a warm ash wood, and there's no option
That's
to
the
have
Randy color.
Yeah, there's no option to get a white or black headliner with the Forest Edge. You have to get the warm
interesting.
ash wood with it.
And that's the one I would
don't-
get. I was like, I would.
agree.
Yep. I want my Boba Fett.
You don't like the vegan leather.
No, I do. I already know.
Oh, you do.
I like the simplicity of it. It's very clean.
Mm.
I just like what I like about the Rivian's internal with that green and the stitching, just the design with their logo and the wood that would complement with it. Hasn't changed my opinion at all on it. I really like it a lot. So, yeah.
Have
I
you
just like
seen
that-
anyone? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I like that they're actually providing options, and they're this
Yeah.
early in development,
And that's
like,
what I
they're
want
still-
Tesla to do.
And they're still knocking out like expectations with their deliveries, and yet they're also like, oh, by the way, here's a vegan leather for the headliner. Or
Right.
whatever. Like, come on.
That's
Tesla.
interesting that it doesn't cost any more or less. I'd like to hear the logic behind that. Like, obviously, this probably complicates the assembly line a bit now that you have another option, but is it like hard to get all of these wood trims, and maybe just by offering a way for people to not opt for them, that saves on cost by just saying, okay, we can make lots of vegan leather. What do you call that? Dashboard covers.
Yeah.
We can make lots of those. So if we introduce a new option and like half of the people go for that, then we don't have to buy as many wood. It makes the ramp easier. I don't know. I'd like to know why they have another basically included option. Because originally it was supposed to be like the vegan leather for the adventure package, but now they've gotten rid of that. So I don't know what the motivation is now. So
maybe this
To
was just
spice
a
it
better
up.
trade-off. Instead of having a different drivetrain option, you just have a different
Yeah.
interior option. So, I don't know.
That's cool though. I'm proud of Rivian. Rivian's amazing that
They're
they've
just-
kept up with all the delivery ramps, and they have all these. I saw people on the Rivian videos saying that you could choose a forest edge interior with a compass yellow exterior, and they had a term for it. I'm trying to remember. Oh crap! It was like a Dijon mustard sandwich.
Oh, mustard Dijon. Yeah.
Dijon, yeah. Dijon, I forget what they called it, but people were debating whether or not they should just gray out that option, because I guess there's some car companies that if you cross select colors like that, they'll just say, no, you can't have that.
Yeah. You get
And
one or the other.
Rivian's like, no, I mean, you could do that.
Sure,
You think it would
money,
be that
you
bad? I
use
mean,
it.
it's
If I-
Randy's favorite interior with Mike's favorite exterior. Is that
Honestly,
terrible?
if I had free reign with my money and I had enough money, I would get that option. I would get a
You would get
Compass-
Forest?
I'd get Compass Yellow R1T with a Forest plus whatever
Whoa.
ash wood, warm ash wood, just because I like the green on the interior and I like the yellow on the exterior.
Thank you,
Like,
Mike.
it looks great on both ends. I think
Wow.
it's amazing because we live in
I've heard that before.
gents, we live in America where we do have some color options, but at least with the cars that we're interested in, which are EV, we don't really have a lot of color options, at least with Tesla. So there's more of an allure for
Yes.
more striking and different color options, and which that's why I like about the EV6 is they went kind of crazy
Yes.
with theirs, but like it's not really getting enough excitement or press or anything like that. And also, is it that exciting
Yeah.
to get a crossover SUV these days? No. But to get like a very flashy yellow truck that can do all these crazy things, but even barring all the crazy things it could do, just a yellow truck with a green interior, that's a statement. And I love it.
Yeah. That's gonna turn some heads. I remember watching the video you recorded when you were in that Rivian ride along when you went to that event, and the guy was like, "So what's your favorite?" And you were like, "I'm a Compass Yellow kind of guy," and he was like,
Oh, okay.
Go on.
I don't know what his reaction was. It's like, dude, that's your company. Don't hate on it. Don't shame it. It's okay. But
Meanwhile,
yeah,
he's
Rivian
drifting
has
around
like
the corner.
yeah, Rivian has 3 interior colors to choose from, and multiple dashboard designs now to choose from that each come in different colors. And they've got like 10 exterior colors, and like I want to say like 8 different wheel options at checkout. Meanwhile, Cybertruck is going to be like one. There is one
You
tire,
get quad
one
motor.
battery.
You get 300
How many
miles
colors
of
are
range.
there? No. But what kind of paint can we get at? No. You can. It's
What?
like,
Paint bucket and
Polar
brush.
opposites.
You do it.
yeah.
Right?
All right.
They're gonna, at this rate, they're gonna sell the truck without any tires attached. You have to buy those
You put it on.
aftermarket. It's just
You do it.
you find it on wood blocks outside your house at the delivery day. It's just sitting on.
Here's your door wedge, sir.
Here is your door wedge. I just picture, I don't know why, but it's like one of those memes where it's like high school girls and like one of them has all the flowers in their hair and they're like, yay, excited. And the other one has the hair covering half the face and they're all dark and black, black clothes and all covered up. It's like Rivian truck, Cybertruck. She's like, yay. And it's like, I am truck, you know. And it makes sense for their mission statements, right? Rivian's trying to lean more into personality and individuality. They're trying to like take a adventure vehicle, take it out with you, you know, because find your own way, right? Like take it, and Tesla's like, we need to accelerate the transition. It's like more vehicles above all else. It doesn't matter how many options there are, doesn't matter what the range is, doesn't matter if you don't like us, as long as we're building them, that's all that matters. So it's like, I love it. I'm fine with both. I'm not saying one is bad and one is good. It's just, it's great that we have 2 really capable, really passionate companies that are in production delivering vehicles, and both have such drastically different approaches to building to building EVs. It's awesome. That's why I love
Right.
this community.
Oh my goodness. Are you very proud of it?
I'm very proud. But
I wanted to ask Randy, did you get a chance to watch the shareholder meeting or listen to it?
I jumped on a few times when Drew was streaming it, but no, I was busy.
All right. You
it was
probably
a,
missed
it was
one
a pretty
of the
big
most,
one in my opinion.
You missed one of the most exciting conference calls besides the first like 5 minute Elon Musk pumping the stock portion of it.
There was a lot to have that you didn't miss. That's for sure.
Yeah. But a
Lovely.
lot of information came out of it, which was very interesting.
I mean, I caught the highlights on Twitter.
Right.
From like Sawyer, like I'm aware of the Cybertruck update, which to me was my takeaway. It's like, oh, I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah,
They're still tooling, but
I hate
semi's
feeling this
officially
way.
in production too.
Yeah. But I'm not really understanding why. Here's what I don't get. Why did the stock fall so heavily the next day?
How dare
Are you
they talk
asking for? Are you asking for the stock price to to change based on the company's performance? Why would you think that?
Company do good, stock go down. That's always the logic with Tesla.
Basically, Tesla stock goes up like crazy on random days for no reason,
Yeah.
and then it'll tank anytime they announce something, good or bad.
I don't
I don't know
understand.
why, but this is why I'm not a hyperbull. I'm just a bull. I'm like a Tesla's a good investment, and they're going to grow a lot. And I do believe Elon, as much as he was pumping the stock, and he probably didn't need to talk about it so long. But I do agree that I think Tesla will become the largest company by market cap in probably the next decade, just based on the growth, the margins, and the fact that they have basically undefeatable leads in this field when it comes to battery production, charging network, manufacturing efficiency, basically everything that matters on paper. Some people, I see in the comments all the time, like someone tweeted out, because I think it was like Mac rumors will do anything they can, and I do the same thing. I'm not hating on them for this. They'll do anything they can to bring Elon Musk onto their website. So if he mentions Apple, they're like, well, now we can talk about it. So they post like, Elon Musk says Tesla will be bigger than Apple. And the first comment on the article was, well, they haven't released the Cybertruck yet. So Tesla's going to die if they don't get the truck out. And it's like, okay, so you have no idea what's going on. It's like they could literally not release the Cybertruck and really not much would change. But they have some of the highest growth potential of any large billion-dollar company I've ever seen, of like, no, our sole purpose is to ramp to like 20 million plus vehicles a year, and all of those are going to be fairly high margin, and we're going to find ways of lowering the manufacturing cost even further, and we're going to get into the mining business and have Megapack and solar, and they're going to try the robotaxi thing and the bot thing, and you could even factor all that out, as Elon did himself. He was like, I wasn't counting Optimus. And I was like, good, you shouldn't. Don't factor that in yet. That's okay. So yeah, like just in the car business and the energy business alone, I'm like, yeah, I could see them surpassing Apple in the next decade or so, and
everything else.
I'm excited about that. But the updates on the cells, and yeah, I'm just as confused as Randy is. I don't know who the heck is hearing these updates and going, oh, sell, we better sell. They had amazing cash flow. They were super profitable. Sell the stock right now. Like, what's the... I don't know what that's based off
they
of.
They said
so.
4680s aren't back yet, so they're going to fail.
Yeah, but I mean, the stuff... Apple stock falls after every keynote that they do as well. That's just it drops for a little bit and then it bounce like it's just there's an up and flow that kind of happens in those like
It's all the emotional investors.
Yes.
That's what it is.
but this one like really fell. Like I was getting
The whole market's been down, hasn't it?
yeah, but
was
Tesla
down
uncharacteristically like I have a notification through my Fidelity account that pings me when there's a certain threshold I set it for, and it was pushing that threshold. I was like, what happened? Did Elon say he was quitting or I went on Twitter, nothing like everything was great, great news.
You can tell when the shareholder meeting was.
Yeah, look at that. That makes no
Earnings
sense
call
to me.
today.
Yeah.
Or not shareholder, yeah, earnings. My bad.
But yeah, some people I've talked to are like all in, like they'll even take out loans on things. So that
I
they
know
can put
people
more cash
who
towards.
took out who withdrew their 401k and put it all in, like they're like, I'm nothing but all Tesla. And I'm like, that
Right.
is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, the problem is they have the dated mindset that the stock will purely be based on company performance. And that's not what dictates the stock price. We do. The public does. How many people buy the stock? How many people sell it? And that is heavily influenced by the media, by emotion, by short-term
recession.
news. Or the recession. Yeah, all these people, now that we have an ever-growing number of like mobile phone investors, of just people that don't really listen to the earnings calls, they don't really read the news, they just kind of skim headlines and then go into their Robinhood app and buy, sell, buy, sell. There's a growing number of people doing that, which is going to cause this kind of detachment from reality. Because in my opinion, there was pretty much only good news at the earnings call. There was really nothing announced that I would interpret as bad. They were
No,
like,
I think the thing that affected it was some news company was like, we expect this. And then Tesla came out with, here's the numbers. And they're like, that's not right. That's lower than our expectations. Sell. So I think it was into that.
They actually gave a real good explanation for the larger number of vehicles in transit too, which was making more sense in my head. Is they were like, when we were a smaller company, you could accelerate deliveries at the end of the quarter, but we're literally running into we've gotten so large that there's not enough boats, there's not enough semi trucks to, like, in the last 2 weeks of the quarter, push all the deliveries. They're like, when your company's this big, you can't do that anymore. It's just logistically there's not a way to. When you're delivering to more and more countries, they're launching the Model Y in more and more places. It's like, when we were young and spry, yeah, you could be like, okay, get all the deliveries done at the end of the quarter. But now it's like, yeah, they showed that little graph of like number of vehicles in transit, number of vehicles delivered. And they were like, when you increase production, those hoops get taller and they get wider. So you can't just rush everything anymore. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I understand that. So I don't know, especially when the factories are ramping as quickly as they are. It's incredible that Berlin has surpassed the 2,000 a week mark already, and they're going to continue to. Is like, what? Why are we selling? Like, what are people afraid of? Like,
what
maybe it's the
definitely
Twitter
surprised
deal.
me was them explaining that a third of their quarterly deliveries in Q3 were at like the last week, I think is what they said, or the last like 2 or 3 weeks or last month.
Yeah, I
or
think they
whatever.
said the last 2 weeks, which is shocking.
It's insane. I mean, this is probably the last time well, maybe not the last time that they'll be able to do it, but I don't think we'll see anything like that any longer. Like you mentioned,
Probably not.
we only have a limited amount of boats. Like, we won't see it at the magnitude that we saw it this quarter. It's that's a lot of cars, right?
Yeah, and people aren't used to that. Like, they're not used to the idea of within a 90-day period, Tesla delivering over 360,000 cars. Like,
Right.
think of how much like volumetric space that requires to move all of that stuff. Like, that's a really pricey part of the business. And I've kind of given up on the concept that Tesla will perform well because of the stock will perform well because Tesla performs well. It's like, yeah, I think it will go up. I'm not saying it'll go down, not investment advice or whatever, but I think to assume that in the next 10 years it's going to 100 or 1,000x is like, we don't know that. I mean, Tesla could grow and do really, really well, but the public could still be completely detached, just like they are today. When there's money proving that we're really securing our future. We had tremendously good cash flow, and then everyone's like, "Oh no," So this could still happen. There's always FUD going up against Tesla, especially if you just check out Tesla headlines. It's like, okay, well, this is what everyone's looking at when they're basing off their day trades. Is they just check the headline? Oh,
Or
recall.
maybe it might not even be that. It might just be Elon talking about Twitter, and it's like,
Yeah, that
Tesla
too.
bad then.
Yeah, Elon said something bad. Better sell the stock. So yeah, it's disappointing. I agree, but it's
It was all good stuff coming from the share or the earnings call, though. Like,
I agree. No, the Semi going into production was definitely not what I expected at the start of this year.
I mean, I don't think you even expected the announcement that it doesn't have 4680s initially.
Yeah, that one really threw me for a curve because I was like, how many 2170 cells are there? Like, how many of these things are they cranking out? To the point where they're like, because everyone was fairly convinced that the Semi was 4680 because they were like, why would they move it up in production? Like, it didn't make any sense. It was like,
and Model Ys aren't coming out with 4680s right now. They're 2170s, or at least they're limited 4680s or something like that out of Texas. So
right.
They're building a whole bunch of these cells. They're not saving them all for Cybertruck. They're probably going to the Semi, right? Nope.
Yeah,
not right now.
That made logical sense. Is like, you got trucks going between Nevada and Fremont anyway, and there's 4680s coming out of Cato Road, so just take them back. It would have made sense, but then he was like, well, the Semi's not using 4680s. Technically, he didn't say they're using 2170s, but
yeah,
we assume that's what it is because that's just what there's the most of.
That'd be a lot more 18650s in there.
That would be shocking if it was. I'd be very surprised. But, yeah, it's just, at the start of this year, I think the first earnings call we had, they said no new products this year. Everything's pushed for next year. And I was like, this sucks. That's annoying. And here we are. And it's like, no, it's in production now. First deliveries December 1st. I'll be there. And they're cranking them out. It's like, dang. And the Cybertruck tooling stage has begun. They're moving in equipment. And
does that excite you, Randy? That tooling has begun. That Cybertruck is no longer in development. It's now tooling and soon to be in construction.
Did you ask me if that upsets me or excites me?
Excites you, not upsets you. Well, I mean, could
Does
upset
that
you.
upset you?
Could be upsetting in some ways. I thought it was coming in 2024.
No, I said, well, no, I was talking about the Semi on that one. I'm excited for any advancements on moving, the ball forward, so to say. I hope we get like finalized, like, here's what I just want to know what the thing's gonna look like inside and out. Give me the specs, and more importantly, give me the price. I want to know price and what the thing looks like.
I agree.
We're gonna see
I
a
think
lot
that would
of
be
people.
really wise to get out soon,
Please,
rather than
because a
later.
lot of you think the stock fell now. A lot of people are gonna pull that $100 hold.
Do you think that they owe us another Cybertruck event that's separate from the delivery event or initial delivery event, Randy?
It's gonna be a site refresh. It's gonna be a 9-minute.
They're gonna. I mean, they're gonna be so quick to like. All right,
We
here's the price.
moved the cabin camera to the longer. No, no. Like, I personally, I would love an event just for the record because Cybertruck anything is exciting to me. Like, Cybertruck 3-letter tweets are exciting to me when Elon says, "Will it have this?" Yes. I get pumped for that. So
I
an
got a
event
new
would
video
just be
idea.
Like, remember what was it? The WWE meme where the guy keeps getting like, his eyes get red and stuff. It's like that for any Cybertruck thing. So if they had a whole event for it, I'd be pumped. But my guess is they won't because there's mostly bad news. I don't think
That's
it's.
one way to put it, Drew.
I mean, yes, there are good updates like the auto presenting doors, 4-wheel steering,
Floats in the
boat
water.
boat mode. Yeah, like there's some cool stuff, but if you have another event, you have to say the price. And I don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe like
I don't think
they
they're.
didn't have a. There wasn't a price for the Giga Texas Model Y event.
Nope.
I
So
don't think
Wasn't even
they
in the
are
order.
as tiptoey about the price.
I do, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, I also believe that it's still going to be under six figures. So
Right.
That's-
That's why I know we disagree.
yeah,
Because I'm convinced it won't be.
I think what's holding them back is, well, actually, as of now, I don't know what's holding them back. But for the longest time, I think what was holding them back is that they were really trying to, like, perfect this, nail it down, and get it right. Whether it was like the windshield wiper goes underneath, and there's a little swivel comes up, and
Oh yeah.
stuff like that. Like, I think they were really trying to get the, what was it, the minutia of it right. All the things that they didn't really ever really talk about, how the door is going to actually open up when you get near it, and what's the fail safe of that, the internal layout and the orientation of the screen now, and materials used, and
6
How
seats,
did-
please.
how to take off the side mirrors if you want it that way. Like, there's a lot that they had to get
I still
into.
want to know where the wireless phone charger goes. Is it in the cup holder? Is it in
What
Will
cup
it
holder?
have one?
the center armrest has cup holders?
If it has a center armrest, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, the prototype did. I guess that's still alpha stage or beta stage or whatever.
We don't know if it's gonna have 5 or 6 seats.
Yeah. Really nothing.
Can
at
you
this
imagine?
point.
Hold on.
We don't know anything.
Grab that tinfoil you got there, Mike. Grab it.
It's
On
been
it.
renounced. That's how I see the Cybertruck. They
Can-
announced it and
can
then they
you tell-
pulled back everything.
Yeah. Can you imagine that when they do another announcement with it, it looks nothing like everything we've seen, and they're like, yeah, we've just been
actually
screwing
just-
with.
They just make it look like the GMC Sierra Denali.
They're like,
It's just
"Listen,
that. They avoid
It's
the
the
whole
air power
dodge.
of trucks.
You saw what that one person did with the Model 3 to turn in the truck? Yeah, it's actually going to be we
Oh, Truckla.
It's Truckla.
the Truckla is actually Cybertruck. It was our Cybertruck was our project name, Cybertruck, for marketing about the Truckla.
Oh god.
Imagine that.
No, it would not go over well. I think everyone likes it now.
I think at that point I'd immediately switch my pre-order to a Rivian and call it a day. No
To
more
be honest,
Cybertruck for me.
Immediately.
I don't know what's the holdup about just talking about it now, unless it's them learning from their mistakes about just, we're not going to announce something so prematurely, because
Well, they did. There was a point on the earnings call where someone was like, "Can you give us updates on intended interior updates for future models?" And Elon just went, "No." That was it. It's like this is an earnings call. We're not trying to announce products here. Like we'll save that for another day.
Or
Yeah,
even
no,
they
but
could
I
have
mean-
said we
Word
have
on
2
there
new
now.
paint colors coming.
But even with
they
site
chose
refreshes,
not to.
that changes. Like, you think the do you guys think that Cybertruck was announced too soon?
Oh yeah. I don't think they. I mean, if you give them context for the time they were in, it didn't feel too soon. But if they would have known what was going to happen in 2020, then they probably would have agreed not to announce it. In
But I'm not
2019.
sure I'm
But-
convinced solely on that, because everyone else, like, I'm not convinced on the whole, like, scaling thing is the only factor when someone as small as Rivian is doing okay. And I know that, like, oh, well, that's their first but someone small made it work. Someone as big and established as Ford, or, you know, like Chevy with their EV, like, everyone else is doing fine on both spectrums, and Tesla isn't an underdog in either of those categories. and they started it with the Cybertruck, and everyone was like, "This is all a response to the Cybertruck," and they were able to get something out before it.
It was unveiled after Rivian, though.
Yeah,
Day
but
after.
but but Rivian's smaller, right? So now so here's my conflict. I think on the hardware wise, we saw a tangible version of like what's been happening with FSD about the delays and the delays. I think we're ready. Let me show you this thing, and they're really excited and they believe the trajectory, just like as they do with FSD all the time. And I think there were more complications about getting, final shape, size. It's too big, 3% smaller. This, and what are we gonna like legalities on that, and all these things. Like something happened in the last, 2 or 3, 4 years now. So I'm even thinking about like leading up to the announcement of it, that something happened that they caused a hiccup where they're like, wait a minute, we need to go back, like take 2 steps back, 1 step forward type of a thing. And we got caught. We got caught in the 1 step forward when they announced it at the time. And they felt okay and comfortable, like pre-pandemic, Roadster, Semi, Cybertruck, ATV, here's these things, here's our trajectory. And there's some hiccups along the way, but I think I think not only was it announced too soon, but priorities at the company, like I'm connecting the dots, looking back, like Giga Texas was important. Getting the Model Y out was important. A lot of things are like, you can see how since 2019, all the changes that happened with Tesla, that was for the better, of just getting ramped up to Berlin. And I mean, you just look globally with Tesla, everything's fine. And I'm not sold that like it's either such a small team that they had to pause Cybertruck, or so big of a ramp up that they had to get these, like something happened internally where something went like wrong, or so. I think with good intentions, everything was good. Something happened in 2021 or late 2020, besides the obvious, and it caused them to kind of almost go back to the drawing board on how to execute, not necessarily what it should look like or what its purpose is, but how to execute. Something happened, and because of that hiccup, I have to reset this clock in my brain that Cybertruck won't come out till 2024, because they, for all intents and purposes, scrapped everything that was supposed to make it what it was at its time in 2019. And maybe 2021 was the real starting again, moving forward. And anyway, that's what I believe. I think something happened that caused them to go back to the drawing board with everything, but with the aesthetic of it.
It was a whole systematic thing. They realized that they had to build the Cybertruck somewhere, so it's like, okay, Texas, we have to build that building. And they realized, oh, we should probably build capital and make the Model Y there first. And it was just, I think it was a lot more of financial benefit for the company as a whole, rather than customer benefit for getting that product delivered quicker. So I think they opted for better margins and more solidified concrete base that they're building up with their whole company, than to quickly throw out this scaffolding of a product and be like, here it is, have it, have fun. So I think I do agree that it's very much like a rewinding of the clock in the head of like, oh wow, that was in 2019 when they announced this thing, and now it's 2022 and it's still not out. And we see companies like Chevy come out with the Silverado, Ford delivered the F-150 Lightning pretty quick. Rivian came out with their the first ever electric truck. And then you have other companies that you haven't really thought about in a while, like Lordstown, saying, oh yeah, the Endurance is going to be ready by the end of the year, in which maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it's like they've caught up, and they were promoting this at the same time as Cybertruck, and somehow they're getting the product out now. It's like, where's the door wedge, right? Where's this thing? So it very much is a believe it when I see it. It'll probably it'll probably be out in 2024. Great. Awesome. But still, it seems
Which
it
means
seems like
5
vaporware.
years, almost 5 years since the announcement, almost half a decade. That tells
Well,
me
most Tesla products are late. I mean, the Semi was over 5 years ago, but it's in production. And
that's true.
it's coming, but it's...
So maybe
I mean, I
going
think
forward they
to
forget.
answer your question,
Yeah.
what'd you say?
Oh no, I think that like part of the thing that I was addressing is that like I think that they've learned to stop doing things so prematurely until they're at a certain stage in house before
Maybe.
talking about it.
I don't think the bot kind of disqualifies that argument.
Oh
in
my
my
God,
And
you're
FSD every single day. And
don't think
them
they've
talking
learned
about a
too much.
robotaxi chassis and all that. Like, they haven't had an event for the robotaxi
No.
platform, but they have mentioned it multiple times. Like, oh yeah, it's coming eventually. We'll probably
Yeah.
have something next year. So
They think they're close. I don't think they're close.
well, I think that's Tesla's biggest issue is that they always think
Yeah.
they're close with
Right.
FSD, the Cybertruck, the
And
bot,
that digs them in a hole a lot.
all of that. And so it's
But-
just
There's three ways to answer. In my opinion, there's three reasons why things changed. You keep saying something went wrong. I don't think it even went wrong internally. I think we can kind of see what went wrong. For one, keep in mind the context of November 2019. They did not know the Cybertruck was going to be a hit. They did not realize this was going to get 1 million, potentially 2 million reservations, and that everybody was going to love it. I think, Tesla's not dumb. Elon's not dumb either, but sometimes he can get caught up in his own fantasies. But
Right.
the other people involved in the Cybertruck design must have been the board. We talk about Elon and Franz doing crazy stuff, but then when you hear the board talk, they're very calculated. Here's our plan. Here's what we must do. They must have seen the Cybertruck prototype and been like, huh? That's it? What? Like, is this just a mock-up or something? They're like, no, that's what it looks like. And
Where's
they're
the
like,
rest of it? That is the rest of it.
is there a real truck on the inside and you just have to hit it on the side and it opens up? There must have been people at Tesla that were like, this is insane. This is a crazy looking truck and it's going to be so niche because who's going to want to drive something like that? That's absurd. And I think a lot of the Tesla board and people at the company were convinced this was not going to be like the next big thing. They thought, this would be somewhat appreciated, especially by the major Tesla fans. But the other important thing to keep in mind about November 2019, you could get Teslas in weeks back then. There was not a multi-month backlog at the time. But back then, the Model Y was $50,000, not $66,000. And it was like, oh yeah, if you order the car, you'll get it in a few weeks. And they did not have the insane demand backlog. So the first thing is they didn't realize the Cybertruck would be a massive hit, and that kind of ties into the demand at the time was, okay, we're building enough Model Ys to match demand. So we can build a new Giga Texas factory that can build Model Y, that can build Cybertruck. Then during the internal development stage of Cybertruck, wait times for the Model Y grow to 6 months, then to a year. Oh crap, there's way more people who want to buy a Model Y now than we thought there was going to be. And then the next thing was the 4680. That, like, Tesla even admitted in the shareholder deck that the ramping of the 4680 has taken longer than we thought, and they probably priced the Cybertruck assuming that demand would be roughly what it was like to their other models. So you price it with a certain margin, and you're like, okay, I think if we can ramp the 4680 in this amount of time, hopefully we'll be done ramping it by then, and we'll take a 5 or 10% margin and call it good. But once they realized and they unveiled it, like, no, a bunch of people want this thing, and they're willing to put up with the design. Oh, if you have this much demand and only this much supply, you're not going to keep prices down. You're not going to sell the Cybertruck for $70K if there's a line that's 2 million people long, and you
Right.
can only build so many. So 4680s took longer to ramp than they expected. As we've seen, the Semi got by without 4680s, and they introduced the 2170 cells to the Texas Model Y. So the cells took longer, the demand grew, and now that they've realized, I think that's honestly what has influenced the change. we can do rear wheel steering, we can do quad motor, we can do boat mode, we can do all these crazy things with the truck because, oh wait, there's this many people that want it. We need to rethink the production strategy. We need to build, as many as we can, but we can sell them. This, I think, originally unveiled, they thought it was going to be more like 3Y pricing, Model 3, Model Y Cybertruck. And now that they've found out what the demand is for it, they're like, this is going to be more Model S and X pricing. This is going to be a high-end vehicle. They've seen the Hummer EV get sold out and back ordered for $100,000 crazy vehicle that's not very practical. Tons of people are buying that. Rivians are being sold secondhand for six figures. There's so much pent up demand, and I don't think Tesla was really ready for it or really thought much about it when they unveiled the truck. And the reason, I think, is you keep coming to, like, why are they so shy to update us on the design or update us on the price? And I think they're shy because they know it's not going to go over well. They know that just reality has to set in. We can't build that many trucks that quickly, and we need to completely pivot the target demographic. This is going to tick off about 80% of the reservation holders, and probably they're going to cancel. I think, like, the vast majority of reservation holders are going to cancel, and like you said, the media is going to have a field day with that one, and there's going to be a really, really hard tank on the stock the day they announce
this
what
week
the
was
Cybertruck
bad.
truly costs. Yeah, no, emotional day trading is going to take a hard hit, and that's why I love telling people. Well, I don't love it, but I think I really should tell people, look at the state of the company, look at how they're basing prices. It's not based on what it costs to build, it's based on demand. And this is the most heavily demanded vehicle, I think, ever. I've not seen this kind of internet following surrounding any kind of car. And if it's this high and supply is so low, they've really got to rethink the strategy, and that's just going to involve a very, very disappointing confirmation to a bunch of people. And that day is going to be bad, so they're probably waiting for something else to be going on so that it can kind of slip under the radar, or they're waiting for a day where the stock is trading really well. Or, like, we have another Hertz rental day where it jumps like 15% for no reason, and then when the market closes, they're like, by the way, on like a Friday, right? Friday at 2 o'clock, so the market's going to be closed all the weekend. Wait till after hours is over. Here's the Cybertruck update. And everyone just gets super angry and mad, and then we're all kind of over it by Monday.
I guess I have a question.
That's my theory.
I wanted to pose to you guys. I wrote in the notes as well because I was thinking about the Semi and how it's initially coming out with 2170 cells.
Yeah.
Imagine the situation where in next year with the Cybertruck, with it tooling up, and or actually being constructed, do you guys think that there will be an initial run with the Cybertruck that doesn't have 4680s?
Ooh.
That has 2170s like the Semi or like the Model Y?
If you would have asked me a year ago, I'd say no, but now I'd say, yeah. I feel like every day there's a growing likelihood that if they really can't crack the 4680 code, it might make... I mean, if it's like the standard range Model Y, then it would prove my point of, like, okay, they made a 4680 Cybertruck, but it's 300 miles of range. Maybe to get a 400, 500 mile range Cybertruck, they use 2170s because they can...
I agree.
Improve the density or something. But yeah, I think there's a growing likelihood of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about
Cool.
you, Mike? Do you think there is?
I think there is now, after the sudden slap to the face that was the Semi having 2170 cells. Like, wow, my car that runs on 2170s is
And
also...
Randy's.
Yeah, and Randy's. Is being used in something that's going to be going 500 miles with a full payload going uphill at crazy speeds and all that. Like, that's insane.
There was a plan change. Because at the January earnings call last year, he said the Semi needs 4680s, and now he's on the record saying it doesn't need 4680s.
Right.
So something changed.
Yeah.
And I bet they could... Tesla's smart. They know how to use lots of different form factors and chemistries to maximize vehicle capability. And range and price, I've always said, those are the two most important things in an EV. And that's where the Cybertruck will disappoint the most is the range and the price. That's my prediction. I'd love to be wrong. If I'm proven wrong, great, wonderful. But
Yeah.
I'm worried I'm right.
All right.
You're worried about the Cybertruck.
I'm worried.
Bingo.
There we go.
Bingo. I do think production will start next year, though. I feel more confident saying that now that they're in the
I agree.
tooling stage.
Especially with the fact that you
Deliveries.
can put 2170s in the thing. Or you probably can and get away with it.
Yeah. Deliveries, I'm not so sure, but production at least, yeah. I'll say 2023 seems very likely now. Mid to late next year. Then they can do the whole employee delivery thing where just drive
For the record, that does not count when I say 2024. That does not count.
Okay. If it doesn't count, then I would say customer deliveries will probably be 2024.
Good.
But
I'll say November.
2022 is almost done, guys. We're almost there.
I'll say
know.
late November, early December. Around this time next year, we get customer deliveries of Cybertruck. That's my prediction.
Ooh, okay. That'd be cool.
Since
I
we
hope
are
you're right.
revising
I
our
hope you're right.
time frames.
Yeah.
It'd be
I really hope
nice.
you're right, yeah.
And then it's a sudden worry of, oh crap, do I need to take out a loan for this truck? That's my biggest annoyance or worry is, oh crap, my funds aren't in the spot that I wanted them to be at this point for the Cybertruck. Can it come out in 2025, please?
It's a whole different feeling when you're looking at the numbers. You looking at the funds. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't.
I just see so many people saying, "Oh no, they have to price it at $80K to qualify for the tax credit." So,
They
and
ain't
I'm
doing
like,
that.
"You think they care?"
All right. Well, we'll cut off there. We've got many other subjects for EV, but
Next week.
We'll push that next week with my excitement of the GMC Sierra Denali EV truck, another EV truck, very similar to his cousin. We'll get into that next week. But anyways, thanks for joining us,
We'll
y'all.
get there.
And have
Have
a
a
great
good
week.
week.
Bye.
Bye bye.